Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0-Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Welcome back to the 3-0-Take, presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 392. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin. I'm here with my co-host, Nate Reyes. Nate.
Hello. Welcome to the 3-0-Take. All of our listeners are enjoying the 3-0. Happy birthday, Kyle Corwin, the Dirty 30.
Yep, the big 3-0. How about it?
Let's go.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I've said it before, I'll say it again. There's nothing better than having a birthday right at the start of October. I mean, if you're a baseball fan, you can't ask for a better birthday. I mean, maybe if you're like opening day, but at the rate Major League Baseball is going, opening day will be in like February in about 5 years. So
that's true. At
least I can count on this being a staple of the schedule. So blessed, thriving, a little more, few more aches than I had yesterday.
Blessed for sure, dude. Yeah.
I just woke up more achy today.
Yes, 100%.
Woke up at 4 o'clock also this morning in order to make the flight back.
So you're getting into your elderly age, just right on cue.
Well, it was not
Let
by
everyone
choice.
know what time you wake up.
No. It was not by choice. Not by choice. I had to make the flight back from good old Texas. Had a nice long weekend there, but it's good to be home.
Do we have any plans today? Outside of
probably going to my favorite spot to eat for dinner.
All right, Chipotle.
Taking
cookout.
What? Chipotle? Yeah. Nothing like celebrating the big 3-0 by going grabbing a burrito bowl. No. This place called Chewy's. I don't know if you guys have that out there.
I have heard about it.
It's money. I'm a big Tex-Mex fan. And then taking the pup to his second obedience class tonight. So
I'm going to be there in a few days. Will he be obedient?
He will be.
For me.
He's the best pup. He is yet to make his debut on this podcast.
I know,
feel
that's
terrible.
Kind of ridiculous. But
I know. Anything with you? Anything you're buying or selling, or do we just want to get right into postseason talk?
I'm buying something, but it's something that we're going to talk about at the end of the episode. So I'm going to save my buy.
That's fair.
Sell.
Okay.
Well, I just revealed it. It's a buy, but it's going to be towards the end of the episode. So, yeah.
That is fair.
Let's just jump on in. October baseball, postseason.
Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. We're finally at that point where, I just feel excited about baseball again. I feel like we finally have shed the dead weight of,
for sure, dude,
various narratives, various teams that were just kind of limping to the finish line, or even the teams like we talked about an episode or two ago where we were still, there's articles still being written about the White Sox and what they have to do this offseason. Finally, don't have to worry about that. We can just turn our attention to the beauty that is October baseball. And I am glad it is here.
I would, and in the meantime, I would check on any of your friends or family that live in Chicago, though, because whoever you're rooting for, you are in rough shape right now. So
that's fair. Yeah. I don't think Nate's going to go to the extent of saying burn it down for the Cubs, but
be ready to just
maybe.
Everyone's in trouble up there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you brought it up. So any heat we catch for maybe railing on the Cubs here should fall on your shoulders. Sure. Because I did have a note here to maybe just say our final goodbyes to the teams that were eliminated this weekend. It's been a steady stream of teams falling out one by one, but the 3 teams in particular that were still in the mix coming into this final weekend, the Cubs, the Reds, and the Mariners. It kind of sounds like you're a little upset with the Cubs. Your squad coming out of the break.
I was pulling for him for sure. Vibes were high. Belly looked like he was coming back. Like, it's just, I don't know. I think those fans, it's just like a guaranteed lock that those fans will not disappoint if there's a postseason opportunity. And I'm not saying like they were in a position to host necessarily, but like it's just Cubs fans don't disappoint. It's just a fan base that I have a respect for. So I was pulling for them. But what an epic collapse, dude. What an epic collapse. Lost, 9 out of their last 12, 9 out of 13, something like that?
I believe I saw coming into, or no, did they get eliminated Saturday? I think they were Saturday, out of it by Saturday. Yeah. I believe coming into that day, Saturday, they had lost 11 of 15.
That's bad, dude. That's just choke job.
Their postseason chances, I don't know if I have the exact date. But I want to say September 6th, they had a 94% chance of making the postseason. And then coming down the stretch, it was down to like 2 or something. Or 92-4, 94-2. Either way, an epic collapse. And I have to say, I'm upset with the Cubs because I feel like had they been playing better ball down the stretch, it would have made for a better series. But I was also of the belief that this just wasn't necessarily their year. So anything that they kind of gave us was a little bit of a bonus. Like, I don't know. You and I had Belly. We were high on Belly coming into this year, having bet on himself and everything. We were a Belly believer, or Belly believers. But nobody saw Justin Steele doing what he was going to do. I don't think people saw Marcus Stroman throwing as well as he did to at least get them to a point where they were in the conversation. I mean, I know he fell off a little bit, but I just, if you're a Cubs fan, I can't think that you'd be too upset. Sure, I mean, nobody wants to miss out on the playoffs, especially the last weekend. But, I mean, I think you should be more pleased, I think, with what you're able to put together this year, with what they were able to put forth, and especially in the standings. But
pleasantly surprised. I think it's just tough when like you get a taste of it, you're in the hunt, and the infamous Aaron Boone quote, it's right in front of us. That was the case for them. And sure, we can talk about like a tough draw at the end of the season, just between the matchups of getting the Braves and the Brewers to end it. And you didn't get the Braves during their hangover stretch. You got buried. And then lost 2 or 3 of against the Brewers. It's just, I think it's tough to like get the taste of possibly getting in, just to have it ripped out. And yeah, that's a collapse.
Do you have their schedule up right now?
I am trying to pull it up on the ESPN app.
Didn't they get waxed by the Brewers one of the games this weekend, or whenever?
Friday was a 4-3 loss. Saturday was a 10-6 win. Sunday was a 4-0 loss.
No, okay. What I was thinking of is I think they were up like 6 or 8-0, and I think
that was Saturday. They still won that game though.
Right. But yeah,
yes.
Even something like that, it's like, man, they can't even win convincingly.
Yeah,
down the stretch.
But I think that's when I think the Marlins won. They needed the Marlins to lose that day and then to win. They need the same result on Sunday, but Marlins won Saturday and removed the need to even win that game. But Yeah, I'd be a little bummed, but I think they're heading in the right direction. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Most people, including us, had the Cardinals coming in that division. So, yeah, I think pleasantly surprised if you're a Cubs fan. And you got to think that most of these guys are possibly coming back. I mean, with what Belly did, like, I think it'd be worth spending the money on him. Try to bring him back.
Yeah, I'm no Cubs fan, but from the outside, it seems as though he was received well there. I mean, played the way he did, you're going to be received rather well. But I know that's a tough fan base to earn the good graces of. But I feel like once you reach that level, you're in good shape. So we'll see what happens with Belly at that point. The Mariners, I feel like, are a team I'm more disappointed in, given the expectations coming into the year. Higher, in my opinion, and I'm sure the opinion of a lot of other baseball fans, than a team like the Cubs. Just, I hate to say it. I mean, just throwing it away, I feel like.
Kind of.
I mean, kind of in front of them as well, in a way, down the stretch, and they just could not string together wins in a way that would be needed to secure even just the last spot. Forget the West. I mean, that was tough to see. And what sucked is I don't even know if I mentioned this to you, or I may have mentioned it in the group text or something, but the worst part about being in Texas this past weekend is it was the home state of two of the most important series
You couldn't watch
to
them.
finish the season. And I pull up the MLB app and it's like, you're blacked out. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never been blacked out from a Rangers or Astros game. And sure enough, I'm like, that's probably because I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
So that wasn't fun, but I was doing what I could. We actually went out to a brewery one of the nights, and they actually had the Astros game on. So I'm just like, all right, guys, this has been nice, but I'm gonna go sit over by the fan at the picnic table and follow this game, because at this particular moment, this is a rather important game to watch. So all I have to say, I had to follow a little more loosely than I would have liked this weekend, but anyway, yeah, the West.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really dog on the Mariners too much. I mean, an 88 win season is typically good enough to get in. You know?
But that's the point, though, is you have a year where you can finally take advantage of a less than stellar Astros team. And that's not necessarily a knock against the Astros. They're division champs. They did what they had to do, but let's not kid ourselves into thinking that this is an Astros team that we've seen in years past. They're good, but they're not, late 2010s Astros good. We've yet to see how that plays out for them, but I just would have liked to see them take advantage of a year where the division was a little more. I mean, sure, you had the Rangers enter the conversation, but you're all right there. So I just wish they would have taken advantage of the opportunity of not having a world beater team in that division, but not even a year like this could they pounce on it. So I don't know. That's tough to see, and I'm sure Mariners fans are a little down in the dumps right now.
I think all will be fine when they get Shohei.
Okay. All right. You're still on this train. I thought the novelty of that would have worn off after maybe a couple days, but you're still on it? Okay. Yeah. I can't remember. Was that your idea you put together, or was that presented to us and you hopped on board with it?
Probably a little bit of both. I don't know. I can't think of like the origin of it. I'm trying to remember
if you like talked yourself into it on an episode, because it wasn't but just possible a couple weeks ago.
It's possible. I think it was brought up. And I talked myself into being on board.
It was a voicemail.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. And then we talked about it. You're like, yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm a fan. Overall, though, just like it's got at a certain point, you're wasting time. Yeah. Like you're wasting time. Your window of opportunity is right there, and just to miss it by a game, it's tough, dude.
And look, hey,
I would have rather seen them than the Blue Jays.
Oh, for sure. But let's not, again, like we just talked about within the week, let's not kid ourselves into thinking that the Mariners let J-Rod down, or that this was something where they let an opportunity go by to get J-Rod into the postseason. J-Rod didn't do himself any favors,
right,
for building his career resume with postseason baseball, this or that, because like we talked about, did not show up at all down the stretch. I don't know if it goes as far back as a month, but at the very least, the last 2+ weeks just was absent altogether. So
still young, gotta have patience, but I mean, I get it. And this is a conversation we had weeks ago, where it's like he's not the face of baseball because he's still growing, still developing, I think.
No, I agree. But when you say they're wasting time, I think my mind, and I won't speak for other people. Right. I think other people may think the same way. When you hear wasting time in Mariners, the same way you do with like a Trout and the Angels, it's like if the Angels miss out on the postseason, they're wasting time.
Yeah.
Okay. Whose time are they wasting? For the Mariners, he is young, but like I said,
I think you have guys that you're expecting some type of fall off. JP Crawford's gonna have a fall off. Luis Castillo is getting up there in age. You know what I mean? Like you're just a year older. I'm not necessarily saying that these guys are gonna fall off next year, but like you have this window of success. That's why you sign long-term contracts. That's why you sign multi-year contracts, is to succeed in that window where you're sharing these contracts. So I just, I'd like to see them build on this. It is a disappointment though, because I would love to see that stadium just popping off in the postseason again.
And then just a quick note here on the Reds. Similar.
Same to the Cubs, right?
I won't speak to you or speak for you, but for me, the Reds kind of fall in that Cubs category where they gave us a fun ride. It was a good story to follow, but I don't think even Reds fans would have looked at this year and been like, I don't think anybody really saw the emergence of De La Cruz. I don't think anybody saw the Reds being a team come trade deadline that was going to be in the conversation of buying. So, I don't know the trajectory that they're on right now. Like, I don't know if you can call them ahead of schedule, because I don't know if they're necessarily at a point with their organization that they're going to be ready to fully commit to competing in the coming season. So I don't know maybe if this was more of a fluke or if they'll be back. I'd like to think the latter, because like we talked about, that's a baseball city if there ever was one. And with some of the guys that they've got, I'm hoping they can find a way to keep India around long term. Obviously, the aforementioned Ellie De La Cruz, guys like that.
TJ Friedel, that guy really came on the scene, broke out this year. So,
and if this is the end for Votto, we're looking at a sort of a new era of Cincy baseball, some fresh faces. So
Hunter Green looks like the
Hunter
real
Green,
deal.
yeah, can't even forget Hunter Green, who's been throwing the ball rather well, or was throwing the ball well down the stretch. But maybe see you next year.
I'd like to think so. Get a couple vets in the off season, guys that don't need to play every day, just to kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. Add a couple arms to the rotation, eat up some innings. I think they'll be back.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'll be eating my words come 2024, but as much love as we give the Pirates for having or making the necessary small moves to lay the very simple foundation that they have right now, I think the Reds are far more poised.
I think they're in a better position, yeah,
to be a more serious part of that conversation coming out of that division. The Pirates they're getting there, but I think if we're talking immediate impact or immediately inserting themselves into the conversation, I think the Reds are much more poised to do that, as we saw this year, taking it down to the final weekend of the season. So good for the Reds, good for the Cubs. Mariners, I love you, but I think we expected a little more out of you. Yeah. Looking at the field, however, the teams that actually decided to get the job done, as it stands, we are looking at a completed field that includes the Braves, Dodgers, Brewers, Phillies, Marlins, D-backs, Orioles, Rangers, Twins, Rays, Blue Jays, and Astros. I don't know about you. I feel like this is I don't want to say like new look postseason, because you have your staples in there for sure. Mm-hmm. You're talking Astros, Dodgers, teams like that. But, even if some of these teams just come out in the wild card, and like some of these newer face teams, or newer look teams, I should say, even if they come out and flop in the wild card, it's just refreshing to have a little bit of a new mix in there.
Yeah. I mean, welcome to the party, Diamondbacks, Rangers. It's weird to say Orioles because it's not like you're putting them in the same categories as other teams.
Right.
But it is like this new...
In that regard, yeah.
This new stretch that hopefully these franchises are going to be, partaking in future postseason appearances, not just this one. But it's cool to see, man. It's cool to see. And then you have your teams that are like, yeah, you're really good. You belong here. And then there's the Twins.
And there's the Twins. There's just the Central altogether, American League and National League. Just lump them all in there.
Yeah.
Although I may have a take or two.
Oh.
Once we get into our predictions that are coming a little later. Yeah, I was actually talking with somebody at the wedding I was at this weekend, and he was asking me which I thought was a great question. I don't know if anybody's asked this before, but you see the graphics from time to time, but I don't think anybody's actually asked us this question before. But he was like, who would you say, who do you have winning the next 4 World Series? And I told him, I was like, I don't even know if I could give you like a chronological order, but I could throw out some teams that I think would very much be a serious threat to take one of those 4. I don't know, like I said, in what particular order. But we got to talking, and I had this thought that hopefully resonates with other baseball fans, because the prospect of it, like the thought of this happening over the next 5 to 10 years, was pretty exciting. And I think it's a very realistic possibility given their roster construction. But I was talking about how I would love to see the Orioles and the Braves become the new... And he cut me off before I could even finish. And he's like, Dodgers, Astros. And I'm like, exactly. Because you have the Orioles and Braves set up to be, again, for the next possibly decade, of being like the 2 threats that everybody's chasing.
Right.
The 2 teams, one in each league, that have respective targets on their back in their leagues. And I would love for them to just meet up more than once come end of October.
Yeah.
And I feel like, given the youth that they have, maybe a little less for the O's, because they have yet to lock down their young guys, as well as the Braves have. But assuming that they do, hoping that they do, I would love to see those 2 teams kind of take over the scene a little bit, and maybe as a result, the Dodgers kind of slide back to the back seat. The Astros slide back a little bit. We'll see, though.
Yeah, we'll see. I like the sentiment of it. I struggle to see the Orioles forking over enough money to keep everyone around. Whereas the Braves did it like right before the peak on some of these guys. And
but
once you have one in place, like you have other guys that can fall in line.
Right.
I think it's going to work the opposite direction for the Orioles. Like I think Rushman's probably going to be getting that first one, and it's going to be fat. And then Gunner's going to be like, hey, I'm just as good. Get me that bag too. And then Grayson Rodriguez is like, hey, you can't do anything without an ace. Give me that bag too. So, whereas the Braves, again, they were quick to the punch. I'd hate to say that that's like the model you should chase to try and get guys to sign that early, because it's just crazy to think that. But I don't know. I'd hope you're right. I hope you're right. I can't see the Orioles holding on to all these guys long term.
I don't know. We'll see. I think at the very least, we can just enjoy what's before us.
True.
We can enjoy what's around the corner for the baseball world, being able to watch the talent that makes up these two teams and the rest of the field, regardless how we feel about. I know we throw both Centrals under the bus all the time, but like they still have some dudes that are worthy of celebrating. Come this time of year. How do you want to do this? Do you just want to kind of because we were talking before we got on, and I remembered last year the way we did this, which I think is a better system, is rather than give the full playoff prediction, because I know a lot of people do that, and like if they get close to the end and they're still looking good, they look that much better. But like, I also do, on the flip side, like I don't want to just have our predictions be 100% wrong, and then we're sitting there the entire month of October going, well, we don't know what we're talking about. So I think what would be best is if we just broke it up by round. So we'll talk about the wild card, or we'll make our predictions. We can talk about the field as a whole if that's what we want to do. But then for our predictions, maybe talk just wild card and then DS, CS,
right?
World Series. Well, with that, I guess we can just start with you. Let's start with the wild card. Let's go. Let's look at the American League wild card teams. So we've got the Blue Jays, Nate's favorite. We've got the Rangers and the Rays.
Twins. Well, I guess Twins are in that matchup, but I get what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, not the wild card teams.
Those are the three that are representing the wild card slots. Let's just go matchup by matchup and maybe talk about each team as we go along. The Blue Jays and Twins. What excites you or bores you about this series?
Oh.
Well, actually, can I start this off by sharing my take? This was one of the takes I had. Kind of giving a little sneak peek at my prediction here. Minnesota finally snaps the streak. This has been a year of turning corners, of growth. It's well documented that I came around on the Angels. You came around on the Angels. I was a huge proponent of the D-backs, and look how that turned out. Trying to think. Were there any other narratives that I flipped the script on? There's got to be more out there. But, we're here. We're at the start of October. I'm gonna give the Twins a little bit of love and say that they get that elusive win that snaps the streak, because they're at what, 18 right now? Is it 18?
sure.
I'm pretty sure it's 18.
Oh, that's so bad. So you're saying they get one of the three?
I'm just saying they snapped a streak. I'm not saying whether they get it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I'm trying to think like matchup wise. I know. I mean, game one, you gotta hope it's Gausman, Sonny Gray, right? I mean, that is gonna be insane. I think there's obvious depth in the Blue Jays lineup. It seems like they've turned it on the last few weeks a little bit, started to wake up a little bit. If you can get a Giancarlo-esque postseason performance out of Vladdy, makes up for a lackluster. I hate to say lackluster, but it was a bit of a lackluster season.
It was lackluster. You can go ahead
less
and
than
say
30
it.
home runs for Vlad is a disappointment.
You can go ahead and say it. I'm growing more and more. I'm leaning, I should say, more and more towards the end of the spectrum that is just so jaded by what he's doing and what he's putting out there. Like this is this is the time for Vladdy Jr. to put up or shut up, because like we talk all the time about the whole trailer versus movie conversation and how that never panned out. And now what was that, a year? Was that 2 years ago at this point? Was that last year? And we're still sitting here waiting for something. And now that they're in the postseason, you would think, okay, well, he must have turned it on. No, he was rather pedestrian in 2023. So it's like, okay, at the very least, you have a chance to rewrite the script of how this year has gone and put yourself in the conversation of things, people, stars worth talking about this time of year. And you look around the diamond, Matt Chapman also
What the heck,
little pedestrian.
Yeah.
I told you back in...
I know. I tried trading for him in fantasy. Glad I didn't.
Probably like April, people were riding that horse real high, and I said, I just don't think this is sustainable. Like, this is a defensive stud, but I don't think we can be fooled by this early start, and it has not panned out that way. The thing they do have going for them, though, and I think a lot of people forget this, is they have George Springer at the top.
Yeah.
And we all know that this guy is an absolute animal once the calendar turns.
Postseason GOAT, possibly, when it comes to that. Yeah. He's got an
889 OPS with 19 home runs and 65 postseason games.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good season, you know?
The other thing that, talking about things that are working for the Blue Jays, is their pitching. You mentioned possibly having Gausman, which, not that it really mattered, but I hated not having him start. That he was scheduled to go yesterday for me in fantasy to round out the season. It didn't matter, but I hated to see that scratch. I have a note here. The Blue Jays are the only major league team with 4 starters who logged at least 160 innings. Call me crazy, but didn't that used to just be like the absolute bare minimum?
Yeah, kind of. And then you have one that's sniffing 200. You gotta. Like, that should be a rotation. That's the norm. Just a different day nowadays. Different time.
So those 4, obviously, Bassett, Barrios, Gausman, Kikuchi. I give the Twins the love of a game just because of the pitching they're bringing to the table, but I really like you don't even need all 4 of those guys, but just having those options to play with, I mean, that's when healthy, when good, when on top of their stuff.
Rotation-wise, like, you can put it up against a lot of these other teams and say it's up there. When they're all working.
But this has been a very inconsistent team this year.
Been up and down.
Very inconsistent.
I will say, if this was in Toronto, it'd be done in 2. Is that why you're giving the Twins 1? Because it's in Minnesota?
No, Target Field does nothing for me. Like,
Do you
that
think it's
atmosphere.
Yeah, I know. That's
just
atrocious.
a joke.
Yeah.
And it's not like I promise you, it's not a bit. I'm genuinely not. The needle goes the other way when we're talking about the Twins, when we're talking about Minnesota, that park. There's nothing about it that excites me.
Sure.
At all. And so, I mean, any quote unquote home field advantage that they would bring to the table, that doesn't do anything for me. No, but going back to your question, I give them snapping the streak. I give them that because, like I said, the pitching that they bring to the table, and I think you can at least sneak out a win. I mean, I'm kind of dancing around a little bit. I'm giving the Blue Jays the dub here in this series.
Do you think? I mean, which one do you think the Twins are taking? Game 1 or Game 2?
Well, I mean,
I think I'm gonna give him. Does Pablo Lopez get Game 1?
That's what I was, because you mentioned Sonny Gray being Game 1, but I'm like, well, based on matchups, this or that, do we see Sonny Gray go Game 2?
Yeah. Anti-spotlight Sonny Gray. Yeah, you might be right.
You said it, not me.
Offensively, it's just borderline embarrassing. Team leader in home runs for the Twins is Max Kepler at 24.
Yeah, but I mean, look where they play.
Team leader in on-base percentage is 312, Carlos Correa. Team leader in hits, 118.
Yeah, I mean,
Correa.
you've had down years from Correa, less than an average year from Buxton. But they did have the American League's second highest rate of runs per game in the second half. So they were somehow, some way, they were figuring out a way to get runs across the plate. So
yeah, I'll give him 1. I agree. I'll give him 1, but it goes to the Jays.
And then let's not forget Royce Lewis, dude. I mean, my goodness.
All he does is hit grand slams.
I saw a stat. He's slashing 385, 452, and 785, which comes out to a 1237 OPS in his career with runners in scoring position. Forget the grand slams. He has an OPS of 1237 with runners in scoring position. Just
that ain't too shabby.
Otherworldly. All right, so you're giving the Twins 1 as well here.
Is Byron Buxton like alive, or what's the situation there? Is he playing? Full transparency, I told you I was gonna go an entire year without watching a Twins game, so green check mark on that one.
Well, the regular season, but I'm gonna have to have you at least watch the postseason.
I suppose. Yeah, I'll give him 1 game.
Fair enough. So you have the Twins taking that, or the Blue Jays taking that series.
Yeah.
Looking at the next one, Rangers, Rays.
Gotta make a note here. I'm not a huge fan of the tiebreaker. Astros getting the division over the Rangers. No game 163. I think it's kind of lame. I get, like, it makes more sense because we're really squeezing it down. You don't really want to travel day to be filled with a 163 game. But like, I don't know. If you get rid of that stupid gap we have after opening day, we could have an extra day for a possible 163. I don't love it. And it's such a big swing to win the division or be in the wild card. It's huge.
Yeah, but I mean, on the flip, I mean, I see it both ways, but playing devil's advocate, like I do like having the added importance of the regular season games a little bit again.
Yeah.
I like having that element of it.
I know. And it should mean something. It's Bregman's comments popping the bottle. He's like, someone asked me what it'd be like to lose the division. I guess we'll never know. Like, shut up, dude. It's a freaking tiebreaker. Like, it's not like you blew anybody out of the water.
No, but like, to their credit, and I'm not trying to sound like an Astros honk here, but like, I'm certainly not surprised that we're sitting here October 2nd with the Astros as AL West champs. I mean, as well as the Rangers played, we've talked about it time and time again.
They went through a rough
Astros
stretch.
just figure it out. I don't understand. No, but back to this Rangers Rays series. This one scares me for the Rangers, if I'm being honest.
I know. I want to go their way really bad.
Like they are just lacking healthy, reliable pitching. And you need pitching to win a championship. And they just don't have it. And they can point to Eovaldi being back. But if you look at Eovaldi since he's come back, that is not the Nathan Eovaldi we saw the first 2/3 of the season. That is not him. He is not that guy. No, but you got that. You've got Scherzer. I mean, with the throwing program, I don't even know what's going to pan out with that. If you're the Rangers, you're just going to have to mash your way through this bracket because you're not going to win it on pitching.
That's the thing, dude. It's just like, even with this first matchup, the Rays can score runs. And if it was the Rays a few years ago where it was just, lackluster offense, but their pitching was the story, I could maybe see it. It's just the Rays can score runs and they will continue to punch you back, and they have better pitching. Trust me, I would love to go Rangers here, but I'm going Rays.
Yeah, but like you talk about their offense, we know what the state of their rotation is. They don't have McClanahan, Springs, Rasmussen. Like they're missing key guys there.
Yeah.
And I think you can say
still more depth, still more pitching depth in the Rangers.
No, sure.
Even
but like
with
whether
those guys.
Right. Yeah, but like whether you want to chalk it up to law of averages, expected regression, they have this isn't the Rays team we saw in April. And again, I don't think anybody expected that to sustain itself, but I'm less concerned about the Rays now than maybe I was earlier in the year.
99 wins in the AL East.
Which is just crazy that we're talking about them in a wild card series right now. But that's the East for you.
A plus 195 run differential.
I would say any other team, I'm looking at this going, you're telling me Yandy Diaz and Isaac Paredes are your headliners in that lineup? And I mean, you throw Arozarena in there, obviously, but
Isaac had 30 plus, didn't he?
But then you think about it, and it's like, this is what the Rays do. And I'll be honest, for many years, I thought that was just I just thought that was them on the pitching side of things. I was like, they just have, I think you mentioned it a year or two ago where you're just like, they have this factory where they just churn out like seemingly no-name guys that develop into household names. They turn into league leaders. And I was like, okay, that's what they do on the pitching side of the ball. But offensively, it seems like it's like who you ask any casual, Yandy Diaz, tell me about him. They couldn't tell you about Yandy Diaz, Isaac Paredes. Come on. And I'm not trying to like focus in on those two guys, but you look around the rest of the diamond, no Wander Franco. Randy Arozarena needs to turn it on. And I think he will, because when the lights come on, that dude, regardless how he's doing leading up to that point in time, he figures it out. But it's, I mean, pitching wise, like we talked about, Noah McClanahan, so on and so forth, it's going to come down to, can Tyler Glasnow and Zach Eflin be the 1-2 punch that catapults this team moving forward?
Wow. Yeah, it's a team that figures out how to win, dude. One pitcher north of 125 innings. Zach Eflin. Just one guy. They figure out how to get dubs, though. They squeeze every ounce of productivity out of people. Bullpen is nails as always. I think fielding wise, without really like looking at any stats or anything, I feel like they're just extremely disciplined. Then offensively, you think that they're going to be enough. They're going to be enough. As much as I'd love to see the Rangers pull this thing off, I don't know, man. They got a lineup that can bang, but...
So you want a good laugh? I said all of what I said about me being nervous for the Rangers. I've got the Rangers taking this in 2.
What? Really?
Yep. I just... I mean, you know me. You know I'm never going to have... I don't think I've had them in the World Series in years past. But certainly moving forward, unless they change philosophically, I don't even worry about me having them winning a World Series. So with that said, I'm against a banger of an offense that the Rangers have. I'm just going to go ahead and say that the Rangers score runs, because I had another note for the Rangers, which I don't even think I realized. But then I thought about it. I'm like, I feel like every time I turned the TV on and the Rangers were winning, it was at least by like a dozen runs. Did you know, Nate, that they led the majors with 26 games with 10 runs or more?
Say that again?
They led the majors with 26 games of 10 runs or more. And I know it got a little hairy there the last week or two. We're looking around going, did the Rangers fall off the face of the earth? Because they're nowhere to be found. I think Semien, Seager.
That's a 1-2 punch.
I
for
think
sure.
that, and then you go down the rest of the lineup.
Adolis
Garcia. I think that's going to be enough to overlook or to help them get over the hump of not having healthy, reliable pitching. Like I said, I think that'll be enough in a 3-game series. I think that'll be enough. Now, if we're looking at like a 5-game, I'm going, okay, maybe the depth that the Rays would bring to the table with their openers, starters, their bullpen. Okay, that might be a little concerning, but that depth isn't going to have a full opportunity to display itself in a 3-game series. So with that, I'm going Rangers in 2.
Rays were 53-28 this year at home. Rangers 40-41 on the road. These are two teams who dominated at home this year. I hate to say it, but I think
Yeah,
The
but like
Orioles'
think about it.
path to the World Series has to go through the Rays. So I'm going Rays in 3.
But to that point though, like how much of that, I won't say win total, but like how much of that win percentage, if you're looking at what their win percentage at home was, how much of that can you attribute to that? What was it? 13 straight wins to start the year.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to like cherry pick and start chipping away to fit my narrative, but I'm also like, I think we can also recognize that a 13 game win streak is abnormal. And if maybe that, you know, if you dial that back to a little bit, to have a little bit more normalcy, maybe they go 600 over that span. Still great ball, but like something a little more realistic. Then what does that look like? Is that record at home as intimidating to a team coming into the Trop? I don't know. I can't say that it would, but also the Rangers record on the road doesn't worry me either. Like if you were playing 500 ball on the road,
I think 500 ball on the road is fine. I think that's more than good enough to get it done. But yeah, I just think if it was a different kind of ballpark, yeah, but it's a very unique place to play. So trust me, I want the Rangers to win. I'll be rooting for the Rangers. I want to be wrong.
By the way, I've been thinking about it more. That's got to be, I know I've mentioned it, but we got to make a plan to get down there.
Yeah,
over the next few years.
We
Not
do
because
like
I
a
want
little,
to, but
little like Florida late spring training trip, and then just carry it right into like their opening day or something.
yeah, I like that.
That wouldn't be too bad, right?
Catch some Florida spring training.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. Give me Rays in 3.
All right.
Somehow, some way.
So our first discrepancy, I like it. I was hoping we wouldn't run the table with the same picks here. Let's flip over to the National League. Let's go
The other 2.
Let's go D-backs Brewers. It pains me. It pains me.
You're on Brew Crew?
No. It just pains me to come into the postseason conversation now that we're finally here and carry a negative tone when talking about the D-backs. Like
I know.
I'm sorry, but you did nothing to instill any confidence in me for this postseason. Like you're middle of the pack in seemingly every major offensive category. Like, yeah, you can manage you can utilize the base paths well, but I mean, beyond Gallen and Kelly, they're not even going.
Kelly.
No. We're not gonna throw noise on Kelly. Kelly's been excellent this year. Merrill Kelly, props to you, good sir. You put together quite a campaign.
Doesn't fire me up.
That's fine. I think if you were honest with yourself, you would say that part of that is because of the World Baseball Classic back in March, and you just have a bad taste in your mouth from him getting talked up to being the next greatest American since, what was it, George Washington or something?
He looks like that dude from Schitt's Creek.
He does. That is a great comparison. Wow, I hadn't considered that. Yeah. No, but my point is I'm pretty sure your favorite arm out of Arizona, Brandon Pfaadt, is going game 1. I think that's already been announced.
Has it?
Which is wild to me. Am I missing something?
Possibly.
Like,
maybe you're just chalking it up as a loss right away and you want to snag game 2. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, no.
I'm assuming Freddie Peralta is going game 1 for the Brewers, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Gallen.
No, maybe.
I'd put Gallen and Kelly up against any of the guys that they have. I'm not saying stat for stat, but like,
I don't know, dude. I mean, I think whatever order you go, Woodruff, Burns, Peralta, Woodruff, Peralta, Burns.
Yeah.
In a 3-game, yeah.
Yeah, because
know.
to your point, you can't chalk it up as an L and be like, we'll take 2 and 3 and be on our way, because then you're up against the 2 remaining arms that didn't go in game 1, which they're all capable of shutting down, especially a subpar or middle of the pack offense. So I'm not sure what the logic is there, but
I mean, I do feel like the Brewers offense has looked better than I've ever seen it.
yeah, but I keep going back to that comment that I saw. I cannot get it out of my head where somebody, I think it was in response to like power rankings or maybe they went on like a little bit of a run one week, but somebody commented and they were just like, nobody is scared of Mark Canha. And I just can't get that out of my head, because I'm like, if that's the pack to your punch here, I don't know if that really does much. And I don't think many people are looking at the Brewers as any sort of offensive threat. I think it's safe to assume that they're going to have to pitch their way to any pennant, title, whatever it may be in this postseason. And that's what they've been historically. They're not going to go out and outslug you, which is fine. But you need a little bit more star power than Mark Canha, no? Like I know.
I mean, like there's a resurgence in Carlos Santana.
I know Yelich is
Yelich looks a lot better
well
this year. Wilson Contreras finished the year with an 828 OPS.
Yeah, but I mean,
what's funny is that like I was looking at like the home away split again, but I don't know why, because where the Brewers play is just a copy paste stadium of Chase Field, so
that's true.
I don't know how much of an advantage there is there. It's just a slide in left field versus some bars, so it's the same freaking place.
I know this is hard for you, man. You've been maybe not as much as me, but you've been on the D-backs train too. I know this is tough, and we know how you feel about the Brewers. I cannot
change my footing with where I stand on the Brewers. Give me the Diamondbacks in 3. It is going all 3.
No. Like, jokes aside, I'll give you, and I won't hold it against you if you want to change, because based on the conversation we've been having, I feel like you're leaning Brewers in your heart, and I want you to go with your heart here. I won't hold it against you. I hand up, Scout's honor. I won't hold it against you if you want to switch Brewers, because I would genuinely be intrigued to see you. I don't want to say jump ship.
I'm staying Diamondbacks. I like the athleticism on the bases. Really sound defense. Like, pitching doesn't need to be superb for them to get through. I think that offense can show up against the Brewers. The Brewers offense, like I said, it's Mark Canha. Give me Diamondbacks.
Okay.
In 3. I like the idea. There's certain postseason pictures where you're just like, give me the division, those interdivision matchups at some point. Because I think the Diamondbacks can give the Dodgers a little bit of a fit. Not necessarily win that series, but give them a little bit of a fit.
I like that. All right, you're going D-backs.
And the Brewers haven't played meaningful baseball in a while. So
I too am going D-backs. I've got them in 3. Marlins, Phillies.
I mean, there's no secret here. I think everybody knows where we stand on this.
No. Marlins in 2. No, I'm going Phillies in 2 at home.
So we're not going to the game. That's your
dude,
bold
it
prediction.
Pains me. I know. There's been a lot of pain points talking about these early round postseason games. A lot of pain points, and one of them is the fact that with this matchup, if it could have been anybody else, it could have been the Reds, it could have been the D-backs, anybody, the Cubs, anybody but the Marlins. And I really hope I don't eat my words on this. That does nothing for me. That's got to be. I mean, would you say that's got to be that's got to be the most lopsided wild card matchup? No? I mean, I don't care if you're a Braves fan. I don't care if you're a Met. Like, regardless how you feel about the Phillies, I think we can look at this.
Truly believe the Marlins can take one of those games.
So you're going.
It's going to be while I'm on the plane. I'm going to be in the air.
So you're giving them game 2.
I'm giving them game 2.
That's a great flight for you.
That's a great flight.
You're unsure. You land. You realize we're going to Philly.
Flying United, so I should have the little TV. Should be good. I gotta pack.
Even then, you might be able to.
Yeah.
Catch it on there.
26-26 in the NL East for the Marlins this year. Phillies are 25-27. They know how to play each other. Overall, if you were to put the Marlins in the postseason and match them up against anybody else, I'm not excited. I think they get swept. Going on the polar opposite of your argument, I'm saying because they know each other so well, they will play each other tighter. Okay. And the Marlins will put up a better fight against the Phillies than anyone else.
Okay, that's very reasonable. I'll give you that. Wow, good point. Good sound point.
They know each other.
Another sound point here is the fact that the Marlins are one of the lowest scoring teams in baseball. That's well documented. And you're going to tell me a lineup that consists of names like Luis Arias, Jorge Soler, Jake Berger, Josh Bell.
Yeah.
Say what you will about their bat-to-ball skills. I'm going to take a lineup of Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, a revitalized Nick Castellanos.
I know.
Even guys that aren't getting as much love. Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, Alec Boehm. Come on.
Do you want to look it up? I want you to look up some stuff. I just want to see. I need you on board with this because I need you to buy into the fact that they will take one. I need you to look up Marlins pitching or starting pitching versus the Phillies this year.
First, I'm going to look up what the matchup is between the two. Okay, so what's interesting,
give me something good,
is that the Phillies are actually 6-7 versus the Marlins this year.
There we go. Okay.
That's intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I realized that. It doesn't. It changes my mind none, but that's
believe in something.
Know. That's good to know. Look, the only reason I'd be believing in the Marlins would just be out of a false sense of confidence and selfishness.
That's why I'm doing it.
That I would want them to push it to 3. That's it. Not because I believe in what they're capable of doing.
I'm going to sell you on this. Look up Luzardo. Do we know if Nola's going game 1? I'm just going to click on it and see if they have probables.
Wheeler. Luzardo and Wheeler.
Luzardo. So we're going to get Braxton with Nola.
Yeah, that's who they got for Wednesday. What am I looking up? Luzardo?
Look up Luzardo, see what he's done against the Phillies. Give me what Wheeler's done against the Marlins this year.
All right. This year or in his career?
Whatever.
I mean, I feel like career plays into it a little bit. Let's go. All right. So Jesus Luzardo against the Phillies is Wow, he's 3-0.
Okay.
He got a 3.26. He's
Okay.
thrown 30 and a third, and has 11 Ks per 9.
Okay.
He's got a whip of shockingly a whip of 1.088. Only allowed 4 home runs, so
Okay.
it'll be good. That'll be good. He should be all right. And then
Give me. I know Wheeler's gonna be good. Give me Nola against the Marlins.
stand by. Nola versus the Marlins. We'll go career opponent. Marlins. He is 5-10 in his career. He's got a 3.58. He's got a whip of 10.67. He's got about 10 strikeouts per 9.9. He's given up 16 home runs in 23 games.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I believe that I will be eating a cheesesteak on Thursday.
You have talked yourself into this because
I have.
Prior to this conversation, you could not have been more out.
I was all gut. You're talked into this now. I will be eating a cheesesteak Thursday evening at Citizens Bank Park, and I will watch just frickin' mayhem occur when the Phillies take it Game 3. I'm going to be there live.
Better grease the pole. No, they're not greasing the poles for the wild card.
I've heard Philly is just wild right now, by the way. There's some wild stuff going on. So
yeah, dude, we need
I'm a little nervous.
P's and Q's when we head to Philly. For what it's worth, Nola is 0-2 this year versus the Marlins.
Okay.
6.75.
Let's go. Give me that.
Yikes. All right, there you have it. I mean, Nola's going Game 2. Before we even knew his numbers, you had them dropping Game 2.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna figure it out once you land. Game 3, we're headed to Philly.
We're headed to Philly.
I love it. Is that all of them?
That's all of them.
That's all the wild card series. What do you think? You want to save the? Because I mentioned we could talk the whole field, but do you just want to maybe save that for once those matchups are determined?
Yeah. I don't think there's anything crazy to talk about. Man, just some heavy hitters.
So just to recap real quick,
4 teams getting buys. Whew.
The first round, the wild card matchups. I've got Toronto over the Twins, the Rangers over the Rays, the D-backs versus the Brewers, and the Phillies over the Marlins. The only place we disagreed was the Rays-Rangers, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the schedule for that, if in case you're still curious, it's going to be the same for all 3 games, for all of these matchups. I mean, sure, only 2 of them are considered necessary, but say they all went 3 games. They're all for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They're all going to be the same times. So we're going to have the Rays-Rangers at 3:08 on ABC. Twins versus the Blue Jays are going to be at 4:30, and these are all Eastern time. 3:08 for the Rays-Rangers, ABC, Eastern. Twins-Blue Jays, 4:38 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. The Brewers D-backs, 7:08 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. And then the Phillies-Marlins, 8:08 Eastern on ESPN.
The Ocho.
And as I mentioned, so like, for example, if you're following the Phillies this wild card series, they're going to be playing at 8:08 all 3 games, if necessary. And that goes for every other team. All these matchups are at the same time each day. So easy to remember.
Huge for us. It gives us, you can actually work on Thursday.
Correct.
Before we head up there. Gives us time to get to the game, which is neat.
Big fan. Closing the book here. A lot happened. And like you and I were talking about, a lot of these topics would carry their own weight as a discussion, but obviously with the postseason preview, we had to push it to closing the book. But Gabe Kapler, gone.
Bye-bye, PE teacher. Do you know he looks like a PE teacher?
He does. Yeah. I was actually, I mean, I never want to like root for somebody to lose their job like that.
Just seems like a prick.
But I was kind of excited. I was more so, I guess, for the Giants. I'm like, okay, but that didn't work. Let's try somebody else.
Quick note here. No real prediction necessarily. Don't need to spend a ton of time on it. Bob Melvin.
Yeah, I've seen that being floated around a lot.
Yeah,
I could see it.
Yeah, me too.
Keep him out west, but give him a new relationship to build. He clearly the one he's got is a little fractured. Buck Showalter will not be returning in 2024. Good for Buck.
Forced resign? Or did he know this back in June?
Look, if you're Buck, knowing your age, this is not your first time around the block, and you were straight up told, yeah, 2025 is when we're hoping to be back. Like, I wouldn't want to sign.
Right.
That was the biggest blunder that, I mean, and that's saying something for the Mets. Essentially allowing that to be leaked out, that you're not going to be competing. And sure, teams do that all the time. We're like, in behind closed doors, we'll need to punt this year. But for that to get out, like, if you're a fan, why would you even want to bother tuning in, knowing that you're watching a B team next year? So if you're Buck, I wouldn't want to sign up for that.
Honestly, I feel bad for Buck. Just a career of could have been.
Yeah. Truly.
It sucks, man. Like, because he is a good manager, and I don't think he gets enough credit. But yeah, it's been a career of coulda, woulda, shoulda. So back to MLB Network, or just done, done.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he gives it one more go around the block with maybe like a real focus on the short term, and just see, because I think that's what he was trying to do with the Mets. It's like, all right, let me stick it out here for a few years. Let's see with the team that's in front of me, like, we should be able to do something. Didn't pan out. Maybe he gives it one other go, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he just called it. I just hate to see him go out like that. Like,
yeah, I know.
With
it's a
this
rough way to go out.
Show. Tough. A few more items here. Felix Bautista officially out, and we'll obviously get into this more as we advance throughout the postseason, throughout the month. But Felix Bautista is out for the O's. That was announced.
It took so long.
TJ, he was working to come back. He had been throwing some sim games, some sim innings.
Oh, he was trying? I didn't even know he was trying.
Yeah. And then they said, now we're going to shut him down. But they did sign him to an extension, which I thought was cool. So he is signed with them through 2025, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he'll be out next year. We got him
smart move
on board for 2025. Adam Wainwright. Last weekend, potentially, I mean, certainly for Wainwright and Miggy, but also note here, potentially Joey Votto, potentially Zach. Do we know for sure? Is Zach Greinke? Like,
I think so.
Safe to assume.
Yeah.
Brandon Crawford. A lot of the guys we grew up watching, man. They're
it's a little bittersweet.
They're reaching the end of their.
Did you hear one of his songs from his concert? Wait, no.
I didn't hear the song, but
it was actually pretty good.
Was it?
It really wasn't that bad.
I saw the speech he gave, which I was like, I mean, that.
Yeah.
Wayno's got away with words.
It honestly wasn't that bad. I was impressed.
I need to check it out.
Yeah. It was pretty good. I'm impressed.
I would ask if it's on Spotify, but
I doubt it.
I don't know if he's gotten to that point yet. But
yeah.
Did you hear? Speaking of which, did you hear? I think he said I don't remember if this was just like a report or whatever, if he actually said it, but I think it was stated that the most he had played for, like he had performed for, was like 8,000.
Yeah.
And then it was like 800 or 8,000. I think
it's a low number.
A low number either way. And then you're playing in front of Busch Stadium, which that's got to be a dream come true for him.
Yeah.
And then obviously Miggy with the moment he had with his family and getting that ground ball at first, that was awesome.
I think Miggy, as far as like last games go, Miggy might be up there as one of the best final games I've ever seen. As far as
about
like
a turnout though, dude.
Yeah.
They showed up.
You saw like the stuff they did in the crowd with the 500.
Yeah,
home
that was
runs
awesome.
And then
That was
3,000
awesome.
hits. His kids announcing him, getting the chance to walk off the field. The fact that his kids came on the field with AJ Hinch, like just he got the Gatorade bath at the end, like nails. Just the whole thing was super well executed. Really, really job well done.
We can rib on teams like the Tigers from time to time. I mean, all of baseball does, just because of their underwhelming products year in and year out. But like at the same time, teams like the Cardinals, the Tigers, the ones that are rooted in tradition and have a rich history, they know how to do those kinds of things well. Like they may not be able to go out and win 100 games and be a perennial World Series threat, but like when it comes to taking care of their own, they know how to do that. So
I think there's like a second there's a next level. Like obviously as a vet, like you would love to go out with at least a ring in that long-term contract you signed, but you're going down in Tiger lore, dude. Like, and to go in as a legend with an organization like that, like you're gonna have a statue outside of that ballpark, and you're gonna be forever loved. So
I love it.
Actually, didn't they get a ring? Did they get a ring?
2000. Did they?
No, I think they
No.
lost. They lost to the Rangers in the ALCS.
No, but I think they lost to the Cardinals.
That is possible.
No, did they? I swear that did they not? Yeah, last one was in 84.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
yeah, they won the pennant in 06, and that was the year the Cardinals won. That's right. That's yeah. See, I remember. They also won the pennant in 2012.
That was one I was thinking of. They lost to the Rangers. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, like it's as far as consolation goes, like he got one with Florida with the Marlins. So, but like to not get one at that spot in that city, this is like a pretty solid secondary consolation type prize.
Yeah,
Remembered forever with a very long historic franchise with some monumental names. So
they did it well. And last item I have here on a much sadder note, Tim Wakefield suddenly passing. Look, I'm not going to go into the details of how it was revealed to the public. That's not my place to talk about. Nor was it really that individual's place to talk about, but more focused on just the individual and celebrating him as a player, as a person, as a father, husband. Being the Red Sox fan that I am, I had the fortune of being able to watch this guy growing up and just watching how he made guys look just silly. And it wasn't even the fact that he was as good as he was, and sure, he had his stretches where he struggled. That's documented. But even in the moments where he struggled, he was just an awesome teammate. Like there's one clip that sticks out of my mind. It was after the Red Sox won the 2007 World Series, and Mike Timlin, who was one of the relievers at the time, they were interviewing him, and he had Wakefield he had his arm around Wakefield, and I'm paraphrasing essentially, but he was talking about how Wakefield was such an awesome teammate. He was acknowledging that he's an awesome teammate generally, but specifically for that run, because Wakefield removed himself from the World Series roster because he knew that it would be better for the team if they gave his spot in the rotation to somebody else, and they went on to sweep that World Series. And Mike Timlin talked about how like this needs to be remembered as a part of this history that we're making. And just all the things you hear about former teammates, and like a lot of the people that maybe are hearing about this news may have not been able to watch him, because he pitched for a long time and his career started rather early. And I'm sure a lot of people missed, including myself, the earlier years of his career. But because he pitched for as long as he did, he played with a lot of guys that maybe those people did watch, like David Ortiz, for example. You've got guys like that are coming out talking about how this guy was just the ultimate teammate, and just even greater than that, just an awesome person, and loved baseball, loved the Red Sox. And just the fact that this seemingly happened so quick. Man. I mean, my goodness, just terrible for that family. And I apparently saw that his wife is dealing with pancreatic cancer too, which is just, I mean, gotta feel for that family. But yeah. I mean, certainly an individual worth celebrating, just for, I mean, like I said, for baseball, obviously, but even greater as a person and what he did for his organization, for his community, friends, family, just an awesome human being. So
yeah, definitely agree. Definitely agree. I mean, as a Yankees fan, just growing up, watching them compete. And when you think knuckleball, you think Tim Wakefield.
Yeah.
And that is my buy that I saved. I don't know if you saw, but George Kirby, in yesterday's start, actually broke out a knuckleball, and he was quoted saying, that was for Wakefield. So yeah, just super sad. And yeah, we just hate to hear about guys like that are just, gone too soon. And, but I think a Red Sox legend for sure. And what he's able to do for that organization. Yeah, he's going to be missed when it comes to baseball. Yeah, not much more to say, just sad, just really, really sad. I was shocked. I actually didn't hear about the rumor getting out prior. So it definitely caught me off guard, because I was like, whoa, what? So yeah, it just sucks, man. Sucks. I think that's just a part of us getting a little older. You see guys that we grew up watching that are retiring, or, passing away, or, dealing with hardships. So it's a part of life. But yeah, just a probably a very underrated, somewhat underappreciated name. But I think, yeah, when I think of my childhood Red Sox hatred, he was a part of that group. So, but stand-up guy, seems like. So
absolutely. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of our wild card preview. As I mentioned, we'll get into obviously the DS, CS as we get closer.
I was thinking, what, Friday maybe re-record together, because we got the conclusion of.
Yeah, I mean because Thursday will be. I mean, I hope we have a couple game threes. Obviously, the Phillies, but like just for being able to watch playoff baseball, I hope a lot, even beyond the wild card. Like I'm always pulling for these series to go long. So I think Friday will present itself as an opportunity. Maybe we can get a pod in person. You'll be rolling in Wednesday night. So next time you hear from us, we will be talking about more postseason baseball and possibly be returning from some postseason baseball, gearing up to go to some postseason baseball. It'll be fun. I'm excited. But in the meantime, believe that's all we got.
Yes, sir. It's go time, baby. It's go time. Don't go chasing curveballs.
We love you all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.